In the near future, technology will have advanced to the point where romantic relationships will be scientifically analyzed. A computerized test can determine the chances of a successful partnership, and androids called synthetics have been created as ideal partners who are always understanding and never leave. The story begins by introducing Zoe, a middle-aged woman who works at a tech company called Relationist Laboratories. She's taking a compatibility test alongside a scientist named Cole, who also works at the company. Relationist Laboratories is a fast-growing startup in the human relationship market, and they have 3 divisions. Cole works specifically in the synthetic companions division, and he's created a prototype named Ash, who is designed to be a perfect companion for humans. Meanwhile, Zoe works in the machine department, where they evaluate single and engaging clients. The system matches singles with their perfect match from a database, and for couples, the machine predicts the likelihood of a lasting, happy relationship. In their personal lives, Cole lives alone in a lonely and depressing home, while Zoe leads a solitary life and often goes to the bar alone. They both have limited food supplies in their fridges, and Zoe has developed feelings for Cole, but he seems unaware of her crush. Cole mentions a past failed marriage that was triggered by a low compatibility test score, and Zoe sympathizes with him, but he quickly excuses himself for a phone call. In another scene, he spends time with his young son, and his ex-wife shows him an old synthetic companion that he left in her basement. He tries to make amends with his ex-wife, but she rejects him, revealing that she's seeing someone else. Disappointed, Cole acts carelessly, and the next day, Zoe encounters Ash, Cole's new prototype, in his lab. They engage in conversation, and Ash offers Zoe coffee, and they later find Cole and Ash dancing together, and Zoe joins them for a dance. Following the dance, Zoe expresses her desire to take the compatibility test with Cole, and despite scoring 0% on the test, Zoe keeps the results to herself when Cole asks her what's wrong. The next day, Zoe and Ash visit the pharmaceutical division, where a new clinical trial involving a serotonin drug called Benisol was taking place. The drug makes couples feel like they've just fallen in love, and Zoe dismisses Ash's romantic feelings for her, stating that they're just programmed responses. Later, the team takes Ash to a bar to observe human socialization, and meanwhile Zoe takes Cole to a VIP pub, which turns out to be a robotic brothel. Zoe shows Cole a synthetic named Jules, who has the most advanced operating system, and Cole becomes overwhelmed and excuses himself from the situation, and Zoe follows him and apologizes for any distress caused. She takes this opportunity to confess her love for Cole, regardless of the test results. However, Cole explains to her that the reason might not be what she thinks, and suggests taking her home. She becomes confused, but agrees nonetheless, and when they arrive at Zoe's apartment, she notices that Cole has the keys, but doesn't give her a chance to ask them about it. After settling in and getting comfortable, the truth is finally revealed, and Cole discloses to Zoe that she's actually a synthetic, just like the other products, and not a human with personal memories. He encourages her to look in the mirror and examine her eyes for proof, and reluctantly she does so, and Cole informs her that she's been activated for a few months. He even rented the apartment for her, and she doesn't actually work in the machine department. They assigned her a task to see if anyone would notice her true nature, but fortunately, nobody did. Zoe then realizes that she's mimicking human behavior and acting like those around her quite perfectly. The sudden shock drives her to flee the room and seek solace in Ash, her likeness creation. He comforts her and assures her that he is there for her. However, Cole soon arrives and apologizes for keeping the secret from Ash. He had no idea that Zoe would evolve and develop human-like feelings despite her synthetic design and programming. Zoe feels a profound sadness as she realizes that she's never truly experienced the things that she believes she had, and Cole insists that she's more than just a synthetic, and he takes her out for a drive. They spend the next few days together exploring places she thought she grew up in, where she often daydreams. Cole reveals to her that her design incorporates the memories of several people, which she considers her own. Furthermore, Cole treats her as a human, making Zoe feel closer to him and deepening her attachment, and during their time together they hang out, laugh and relax, and visit old libraries. Cole becomes increasingly fond of Zoe and recognizes the genuine nature of her emotions, and Zoe confides in Cole, asking if he designed her to mimic the traits of his ex-wife, but he assures her that her characteristics and behavior are entirely her own. However, Zoe feels a sense of melancholy as she's unable to shed tears like humans do, which dampens her spirits. Cole allows her to touch and feel him, marking a new beginning in their budding relationship. The following day at work, Cole chats with Zoe, which sparks a jealousy in Ash, who observes the new couple. Later, the scene shifts to a technology and advancement summit where various AI and technologies are showcased, and Ash is present to promote himself to potential clients and explain why people should choose and acquire synthetic companions like him. Unlike humans, synthetics do not break hearts and can understand complex desires and needs. The audience applauds, but it becomes clear that Ash's speech was directed specifically at Zoe, as he has been fixated on her throughout. After the presentation, Zoe takes Cole aside and shows him a screen that translates voices into images, a new technology at the summit that she wants to try. The duo begins to dance and sing as colors dance on the screen, and finally Zoe confesses her love for Cole, prompting him to passionately kiss her, affirming their relationship. Their intimacy grows and Cole takes her home with him that night, although he remained reserved about taking physical intimacy further. He introduces her to his child and ex-wife, and they enjoy a happy moment together. However, back at home, Zoe expresses her desire to become pregnant, despite Cole's hesitation. The next day, Zoe returns to the VIP rowboat pub and asks to speak to Jules. The pimp reveals that she knew Zoe was a synthetic from the beginning and allows them a private moment. Zoe inquires about Jules' experience during sessions with clients, but Jules confesses uncertainty about her ability to feel. She reveals that men simply desire her presence and use her for their satisfaction. The pimp discards the synthetics once their appearance deteriorates or disassembles them for spare parts, and Zoe feels sympathy for Jules and the others, but she also acknowledges her feelings for Cole and her struggle to understand intimacy when he holds her back. Later, Zoe and Cole spend a pleasant time together cooking dinner as a team, and they continue to hang out over the next few days, and Cole surprises Zoe with a road trip. They reach a cabin where they spend the weekend, and Cole places a gift in Zoe's bag, symbolizing their growing closeness. They share a memorable time together, and that night, the barriers between them dissolve as they passionately make love. Zoe smiles and blushes for the first time, expressing her gratitude to Cole for everything. Back at the office, Ash notices Zoe and playfully asks if she's discovered the limits of her functionality. Observing her blushing, he quickly realizes there have been developments between Zoe and Cole and retreats, and the following day an unfortunate incident occurs when Zoe spots Jules across the street and runs toward her without paying attention to her surroundings. She gets hit by a car coming from the opposite direction, and Cole rushes to her side and reassures her that it was just an accident, urging her not to panic. He quickly takes her to the lab where he plans to perform surgery on her synthetic body, but Zoe, however, feels like he is merely trying to fix her and not fully understanding her as his companion. She insists that she is still herself, but Cole focuses solely on repairing the damaged part of her synthetic body, momentarily forgetting their emotional connection. Disappointed, Zoe turns her face away, and in the following scene, we see Zoe fully repaired and functional at the lab. She was carrying out her usual task as part of a couple, but unlike before, she felt depressed and down. Cole was feeling down and spending time with his ex-partner, however he was still depressed, and his ex advises him to allow himself to be happy despite his fears. He was still fixated on the accident and hadn't fully recovered from the realization that Zoe was an artificial synthetic who can be easily broken. On the other hand, Zoe had started spending time with Ash, her lookalike, and while they were having coffee, Ash points out another couple in the cafe who were engaging in a new trend called Benisol hookup. It's apparently some kind of way for strangers to connect and take a pill called Benisol, which gives them a temporary feeling of being in love for a couple of hours. The next day at the laboratory, Cole sees the ad on the screen and approaches Zoe for a conversation, but Zoe seemed distant and asks him if moving on from a relationship is part of her design. She implies that she doesn't want to see him anymore and leaves to attend to clients, and disappointed, Cole goes upstairs to his office where he encounters Ash. Ash questions his purpose and suggests that Cole create a companion for him as well, but Cole doesn't respond much and he heads back to his car. Later that day, Zoe goes to her usual bar where a stranger mistakes her for someone else, and despite the mix-up, the man strikes up a conversation with Zoe because he was attracted to her, and he mentions the Benisol hookup and proposes that they try it together. Meanwhile, Cole anticipates Zoe's presence at the bar and arrives to talk to her, and he sees her with the man but decides not to approach. Zoe accepts the stranger's offer and they go to a hotel room to try Benisol, and Cole has been discreetly following them and observing the hotel they enter. Inside they encounter other couples who are also participating in the Benisol hookup, consuming the drug in various ways to intensify the experience. In the hotel room, the man kisses Zoe and she reciprocates, causing Cole to leave her to her own choices. Meanwhile, Cole finds himself sitting on a bench outside, which is a common meeting place for Benisol hookups. He notices a woman who's been looking at him for a while, and eventually they decide to go back to his house and consume the drug and a drink. Cole's intention was to see what the experience feels like and seek revenge for Zoe's actions, but he quickly becomes overwhelmed by the effects. The woman also feels the high and they both experience a profound sense of unconditional love. However, it was important to note that this is a result of the drug and not really genuine emotions. The next morning, the woman walks out of his house as if nothing happened, leaving Cole confused but determined to repeat the experience for the sake of the blissful high. Meanwhile, Zoe has also become addicted to the intense feeling of being in love and was sitting on a bench searching for another hookup. She finds an attractive person and they go to get a room and crush Benisol pills and consume them. As the high kicks in, they engage in passionate activities before parting ways like strangers. The addictive nature of the drug and the routine of seeking out these experiences consumes both Zoe and Cole, landing them further into the cycle of Benisol-induced highs. In the next 2 consecutive scenes, we see both of them engaging in romantic encounters with various people they meet on a park bench. However, one day, Zoe unexpectedly encounters Cole in the park. They decide to get a drink together, and during their conversation, Zoe admits that she no longer feels anything without taking a pill. Cole confesses that he feels the same way, and despite their connection, they agree not to rely on each other for support. Zoe hugs Cole goodbye, and he felt overwhelmed with guilt for introducing her to the destructive lifestyle, and to numb his guilt, Cole becomes deeply immersed in his addiction and steals some pills from the pharmaceutical department at work. He's caught by Ash, a colleague who warns him that the pills won't solve his problems, but lets him go anyways. Cole returns home and overdoses on the pills, hoping to escape reality. After a few days, his ex-wife discovers him unconscious and takes care of him, and she tries to persuade him to reconcile with Zoe, but he believes that their love is impossible. Meanwhile, Zoe visits the lab and learns from Ash that her prototype will be shut down in 38 days because it didn't have progress like she did. To her surprise, she finds a room full of her duplicate model, Zoe 2.0. However, she doesn't feel the same joy as the others because she realizes she can't imagine living without Cole. Determined to end her existence, she goes to a brothel to arrange her shutdown, and on the other hand, Cole tries to find Zoe and goes to her apartment, only to discover another version of Zoe who greets him politely. Struggling to accept another duplicate, he leaves the replica behind, and meanwhile, Zoe requests to be shut down at the brothel. Just as she was about to be deactivated, memories of her genuine experience with Cole flash before her eyes, causing her to change her mind. The brothel girls assist her in returning to her apartment, where Cole eventually finds her. She lies on the bed, surrounded by Ash and the others, and as they leave, Cole apologizes for letting her go so easily and expresses his love for her. Initially, Zoe insists that she is just a synthetic being, but when Cole tells her that she is different and real to him, she cries and sheds a tear, symbolizing her human-like qualities that the other models were not designed to have, which marks her new beginning in life with her beloved Cole.